planning and zoning meeting on March 12th, 2024. Ask someone to rise and move their hat for pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd also like to note for the record that any personal devices used by the commission members is for the purpose of reviewing materials on the Google Drive located through the Town of Bethel website. It will not be used to communicate with each other. Thank you. All right. Let's do an introduction of myself. I'm Paul Schnell, the chair. Start down there.
Kenny Carson, Eric Ruddick, alternate. Mike Kovosky,
Kitty Grant,
Diane Ryan.
Stroll Reed.
Doug Kenny, alternate.
And Dan Carter was first selectman at Fisher tonight.
Oh, it's also, Mr. Legnar.
Bob Legnar, Commissioner.
Excellent.
Dave.
David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay.
Dave, you're muted.
Excuse me, Dave McCollum, Land Use Coordinator.
Excellent.
And Amanda Martinez, recording secretary.
And Beth Wagner is also with us, and she just stepped out for a minute to grab some paperwork. We're gonna go open a public hearing, a new public hearing. Kitty, would you read the public notice?
Sure, to appear March 1st and March 8th, 2024. Public notice. The Bethel Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on March 12th, 2024 in Conference Room D of the Municipal Center, 1 School Street, Bethel, Connecticut at 7 p.m. to hear the following. Zoning text amendment allow for a tattoo artist studio within the commercial zone and defining the use under section 2.2. Deletion of the term under section 7.4B definitions. A link to review the materials can be found on the town's website. The public may send comments via regular email and email to landview@bethelconnecticut.gov. Parking for hearing is located to the rear of the building. Paul Shanley, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, welcome.
Okay, where would you like us to come?
Right up front here.
Sure, thank you. Good evening. For the record, I'm Attorney Ray Lupus. I'm from New Fairfield, Connecticut. I represent Eric Chapman, who is present to my right. Eric has been a Bethel resident for
Majority of my life.
attending Bethel Public Schools, lives here in town, has family members in town. So we are addressing what we think would be a good thing for the community as times have changed. Your ordinances for zoning here in Bethel basically do not allow a tattoo artist to have their profession service in the commercial zone here in this community. I think it dates back to an antiquated, really, I think, negative viewpoint of what we would call a tattoo parlor. Things have dramatically changed, not only in the perception of people and people who use tattoo services, but actually the state of Connecticut codified a licensing procedure starting in July 1 of 2014. From that point forward, to be able to do tattoo artistry in Connecticut, you have to acquire a license. To get that license, you have to do 2,000 hours of mandatory minimum 2,000 hours of supervised professional tattoo work. Has to be supervised by a licensed tattoo practitioner. You also have to pass and take a course on blood pathogens and disease control, and you have to pass a written exam to qualify. And you also have to have first aid certificate, either from the Red Cross or from another agency approved. All this has to also meet OSHA requirements of the federal government. So it's a very stringent process to get licensed. They even now have an apprentice program that of a person who wants to learn to be able to get those 2,000 hours, they have to apply for an apprentice license, and all their work has to be supervised by a licensed tattoo professional that has a license of their own. Not only that, is the state has the opportunity to do an annual inspection of the sites at all times every year. And they also delegates to the health departments in communities the authority to come in and do inspections as well. There is also a full, under the statute, and the statute I'm referring to is actually Connecticut General Statute 20-2660, which basically also regulate penalties and revocations of licenses and suspensions if you do not comply with all the requirements. So there are certain requirements. You can't perform tattoos on someone under 18. So there's all these regulations that you must follow. You can't have somebody that is not with a license, or you can't have a false name. You can't, there's all these things that you with common sense would say, we need this to protect that industry, and they are in place. My client does have an opportunity to find a commercial rental facility to maybe be the first tattoo artist studio in this community, but he can't open it up. We entered into a lease that's contingent upon being able to change the zoning regulations, because if he's not allowed to do it, he's not going to have this business here. He's been doing it in other communities for many years. He's been doing it for 23 years. Is that correct? So I will also tell you, a family member, what is one of your family members doing right now?
Well, I wrote a little something down because I'm not the biggest fan of public speaking, so if you wouldn't mind.
If you're more comfortable, you can sit and talk.
This is okay.
One-on-one is fine with the
I've been
commission.
sitting all day long. This is all right. My name is Eric Chapman, and I am a Connecticut State Licensed Tattoo Technician. I've been tattooing for 23 years and have worked in studios all over the state during this time. For the past 3.5 years, I've operated a private studio located in the Salons by JC building in the Danbury Square Mall Plaza. I'm proud to say it's done very well. In June of 2022, my passion for tattooing was reignited when my oldest daughter asked to follow in my footsteps and begin her tattoo apprenticeship. She had to complete a minimum of 2,000 documented hours for the Connecticut State Department of Public Health, as well as courses in CPR training and bloodborne pathogens. We repeat these courses every 2 years to keep our licenses active. I'm proud to say that she has completed all requirements and has become a tattoo technician. And watching her grow as an artist has really inspired me. Not that my light ever dimmed there. I did love what I was doing, but it just kind of leveled up watching her grow as an artist. So I really want to do better, not just for me, but for her. I could be another shop in Danbury pretty easily, or I could be Bethel's first independent tattoo and art gallery is what I'm shooting for. So I would like to take a little bit of time just to tell you a little bit about myself, go to tattooing where it was, where it is, and also the steps that we have already taken to keep our clients safe. Is that okay if I just take a minute to show you a few things?
Sure,
Please.
Okay, so this is a bit of a dusty old relic. Can I pass the stuff around so you can see, or just
Yes.
hold it up, whatever? All right, so this is what we call a coil tattoo machine. Now, when I first started learning how to tattoo, this is what we were using. It's heavy, it's uncomfortable, it's got all exposed parts. To tattoo with that, we used to have our feed, our tattoo needle through a stainless steel tube that had a stainless steel grip and a stainless steel tip on it. Now, for back in the day, this was fine. We would scrub our tools out, run them through ultrasonic cleaners, put them in autoclaves, and that would ensure our client's safety. This was almost a foolproof system, but the one thing that can survive in an autoclave is a mold spore. So what we would have to do is go through monthly tests for our autoclave. So it was just one more thing to have to worry about. So what happened is the tattoo machines started getting lighter and setups started to become fully disposable. So this is a rotary tattoo machine. I'll pass that around as well as this. This is a disposable tattoo tube. This one is expired. This is an old one because I don't really use this stuff anymore, but I wanted to have something to show you. So we started using these, as well as wrapping up The machines with the plastic bag, wrapping up our clip cords with the plastic bag so that nothing was getting on our machines. Now, if I could just take this, let me show you one quick thing. When so, this again was almost a foolproof system. Sorry, my light. So this is how we would hold it. This is how it's set up. We would bag this whole thing. We would put a bag over our clip cord, and this would keep everything safe. It would keep everything from getting dirty. However, there's nothing stopping the reservoir tip from traveling down the back of the tube. If you hold your machine like this, this can get all over your machine. This is a big problem. This is an error. So once this happened, there's no needle here. I'll continue to pass this around. So after that happened, there was some more drag in the industry. What happened is somebody came up with the idea to create what's called rotary pen tattoo machine, where all the parts are covered and enclosed and none of the moving parts are exposed. This works with what's called a tattoo cartridge. Fully disposable, no need for autoclaves anymore. Everything that we use and use is disposed of, tossed in a Sharps container after we're done. How this works is there is a little membrane inside there that keeps from any splashback. So this, and I'll show you, can pass
Like
this.
an IV.
You can pass that around.
Thanks.
I'm gonna show you another thing here. So that's the machine that's not wrapped up. This is how it looks when it is wrapped up. So what we do is we drop it in what's called the clip cord cover and then wrap it up. So everything's nice and secure and tight. It's long like this so that it covers up the plastic, the cord that you plug in for our power source. So what happens is there's a membrane in there. It keeps from any splashback. There's no way that anything from your reservoir tip can get back in there and splash back into any moving parts. It feeds and clicks like so. Very safe, very convenient. When done, toss away in a Sharps container. No need for autoclaves, no need for monthly sport tests. It's all very safe. This ensures the safety of our clients. Pass that around. See that. I'm gonna hold on to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are steps that were taken in the industry to keep not just ourselves safe, but to keep our clients safe as well. It's been huge. Now, there were also steps taken in how to keep our tattoos safe, how to keep our clients safe once they leave the studio. I'm sure everybody's got a friend who's got a fun story about a tattoo they got where, yeah, he wrapped it up in paper towel and sent me on my way, and that was a wrap. And then, it scabbed up and yada, yada, yada. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. Nowadays, to ensure the safety and quality of a tattoo, we use what's called the Derm Shield. That's not right. So this is a waterproof, transparent bandage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've
Knee
seen those.
replacements.
So what this does is it eliminates the need to use any petroleum-based products in your aftercare. You put that over your tattoo, you wear that for about 24 to 36 hours. And what happens is all the body fluid, excess pigment, blood plasma, things of that nature, that only extract from your tattoo over that time, all the stuff that could potentially turn into a scab never gets the chance to. It all stays wet underneath that bandage. So you take the bandage off and you wash it off. There's no need for a petroleum-based product. You can just go straight to a good unscented hand cream, use that as much as needed until it's all flaked and healed, good to go. Changing things up like this has made it so we don't see anybody coming back with any funky reactions in their tattoos anymore. This used to be a big problem with healing and aftercare, but it's just not the way anymore. Does anybody have any questions?
Good education.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So, I'm gonna go a little further. I'm gonna tell you, there's actually tattooing going on in Bethel right now. You see, you have beauty shops. And in the beauty shops, there are technicians that have the tattoo technician license, and they do permanent eyelashes
Oh.
and eyebrows
Oh, really?
and lips. You need the same license that any tattoo artist, they have to have this same license that I described under the state statute. And they're doing it, but they're doing it under the beautician, name, when in fact it's really tattoo artistry work. So it's really already happening here, but we would like to, just let you know that unfortunately, your regulations had put this into really defined as an adult-oriented business. Much like at one time you had massage. You couldn't get a massage here in Bethel. That's been changed. That's now exempt. We want to make a tattoo artist studio exempt from the same thing. Yes, it does only work for adults or the people who do use these services, but we're trying to put it into the personal services. This is a licensed activity, it's a regulated activity, it's now a safe activity, and you do have some sort of control through both the state's right to inspect and your own health department to inspect. I think you do have a report you're receiving tonight that the health department is looking to come up with maybe town council's opinion on crafting an ordinance so that they would have that leverage. So it's actually documented what the procedure is for them to come and inspect a local tattoo artist studio. And we have no problem with that. You know, this is what should happen. We want the industry regulated. We want people to have their licenses and to be properly skilled so that the consumers and the clients that come in get quality tattoo work, but it's a safe environment for them, something that the community can be proud of and, you know, respect. You know, I may not look it, but, you know, if you're over 50, you probably don't have a tattoo, but I would say about 50% of people under 50 probably have somebody in their family that does have one. So it is much more acceptable because it's much safer. And we think that this community, it's time for the Bethel community to accept allowing someone with really artistic talent to come in, open up something that's respectful and to offer this personal service to the community. So that's what we're requesting.
If I could add one last thing.
Sure.
I think having it classified as adult use kind of implies something shameful, something that you wouldn't want to be caught doing. I don't see what I do for a living in that light. Case in point, a gentleman that I had a consultation with this morning, got tattooed before his family, came in to discuss getting a tattoo in honor of his wife because she's been taking care of him since he got terminal cancer. This is something he wants to wear with pride and to show his wife how much he loves her while he's still here. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's not an adult use. That's not something that should be classified alongside pornography. That's not what I do for a living. That's not something I would have passed down to my children. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before we go to the public, could I just ask a few, could I just
Oh,
elaborate
sure.
a little bit more before you go to the public? Just note for the record that there's a staff report in the Google Drive dated March 12th. And attached to the staff report are also a copy of the statutes, the section that Attorney Lubis was referring to under 387A. Also attached to that is a report from the Bethel Health Department dated March 12th, 2023, with the link attached to it. In my report, it's very interesting. I could see by the look of a lot of your faces, being unfamiliar with tattooing, the process of tattooing from the research that I've conducted, because I have no knowledge of tattooing, to find that there are tattoo artists that are involved with salons doing permanent eyebrows, permanent eyeliner, permanent lips, and permanent scar removal.
Micropigmentation, and
Things of that nature. So it's been a very educational experience for me to see these other aspects in regards to tattoo. In my report also, you'll see there the definition for personal service. And in there, you'll see a revision that was made in 2012. And that revision was in the use of massage therapy. Massage therapy was not an allowed use within the town Bethel, if any of you may recall that. And so what we did was we changed the regulation because obviously in today's world, there are a lot of licensed massage therapists through the state of Connecticut. So we changed the use to allow that for the use. Again, referring to my, report, I'm just gonna go through the questions very briefly that we may not have picked up on, and one of them was, are there inspections conducted by the state of Connecticut Health Department?
Sometimes, over the past
Sometimes, okay.
23 years of my career, I haven't seen it a lot.
Okay.
If I've been involved in, a new studio that was just opening up, there's usually like a general inspection.
Mhm.
After that, you never really hear from them again unless there's been a complaint made against them.
Okay.
Um,
You're in Danbury, you said?
Yes,
Do you get inspections from the Danbury Health Department?
I haven't seen them once.
I just find that interesting because of the
Very interesting.
talk of tattoos studios, or in the old days, in fact, in our regulations, they refer to it as a tattoo parlor, whatever that means. It just, if there's all this about it, and then there's licensing available through the state, and at the same time, it says a town may encourage licensing
Stop it
or
as the amount
inspections.
of people tattooing nowadays.
Okay,
Years ago, before there was licensing, but when we were opening up studios, what we would have to go through is just the health department. Somebody would have to come and you would basically do a little presentation, what I just did. And then the physician would write a letter on your behalf, and that's how you got your job.
it just sounds like licensing from any other trade
This is before
in the
licensing.
old days
Yeah.
of how they used to do things.
That's pretty wild.
Where now it seems to be pretty steady. For example, a plumber needs 2,000 hours in apprenticeship, electricians, things of that nature. So it seems like we've come a long way.
Once licensing came into effect, I was among the first 100 artists in the state to get my license. There's thousands,
Okay.
I would imagine it's just a lot to try to keep on top of. But yeah, I've been ready and waiting for the place that I'm in for the past 3.5 years. And
Okay.
I've not seen them once.
Is there a difference between a tattoo artist and the tattoo artist that creates the eyebrows and all of that?
Yes, I've been tattooing 23 years. I do not know how to do cosmetics. I don't know anything about eyeshadow. and lip
Microblading
liner.
is the term that they use.
Yes, so that's different than using a tattoo machine. I have no idea how they go about doing microblading.
Okay, but is that the same license that you have?
It is.
It
the
is
same
exactly the
license.
same license?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I can answer your question, there is a state statute, which is section 20-266S. And it says inspections of tattoo establishments. The director of health for any town, city, borough, or district department of health or directors authorized representative may, on an annual basis, inspect establishments where tattooing is practiced within the director's jurisdiction regarding the established sanitary conditions. The director of health or the representative shall have full power to enter, inspect any such tattoo establishments during usual business hours.
And I highlighted that for the
Right.
commission
Right.
in their package.
So that's in the state statute.
Okay.
And I will also say there's a whole section in those same statutes that deal with controls if someone is not following the rules. And then, again, I would just cite that statute for you.
Okay.
And then disciplinary action in the grounds for that. So they do have some teeth. If somebody was not doing the job the right way, they can suspend, they can revoke, they can do an awful lot of things to an establishment or anyone that contains a license.
Thank you. Just one question, and this was coming across the reading and education that I've tried to do for myself. Is there such an item as a traveling tattoo artist
I'm sure.
or one that works at events?
There's tattoo conventions all over the world.
Okay, I understand a convention.
Yeah.
But I mean, can
The
someone,
artist will-
if you're having a fair or something in town, can somebody from out of town just come in and set up a booth and do tattoos?
No, you can work at an established tattoo studio.
Okay,
You can
that I
do
understand.
What's called a guest spot.
Okay, I
You know,
understand that.
it would have to be an established studio. I couldn't just travel and just set up a table somewhere. and expect to get away with it because I have a license.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way.
You're not setting up next to the face painter?
No.
Well, I don't know. Again, I read something about
You
that.
went to the wrong booth, yeah.
I read something about that in another town, and I'm trying to equate you with what we have as far as restaurants and food trucks, things of that nature. You know, we don't allow food trucks downtown except for when we have our food truck Fridays,
Back
right?
in like the World War II days, you know what I mean? Things
I
like
don't
that.
go back that
You would,
far.
you would see like things like that in like carnivals and
Is that
things
what they
like
would
that.
do? Okay, so that must have been where that came
Yeah,
from.
it was very old.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But if somebody came in to an established tattoo artist studio, they have to have the Connecticut license
Right.
or else they would not be permitted. That would be a violation.
Okay. Just like a hairdresser. You can have guest hairdressers, they can rent a stall or whatever they do with that type of thing. Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify that with the,
That's good.
Well,
Well, that's-
Sure, Ken.
I did a little poking around on the inks. And there's a lot of controversy in the different kinds of inks that are out there. Some are really borderline heavy metals and stuff like that, or
Nowadays, everything that we use is, all tattoo pigments and inks are non-toxic. They're powdered pigments mixed with isopropyl alcohol and distilled water. Again, we're going back years where a lot of tattoo inks did have trace amounts of metal in them. You would find trace amounts of nickel. I've even heard stories about old red inks having trace amounts of mercury in it. When you would go outside and your tattoo
Right.
would raise up just from the sun hitting it. Things have changed dramatically. You won't see that stuff.
unless
anymore.
the website I was on was way off base. There was a group of fairly safe stuff, but there's some stuff there that they had some questions on, some exotic inks. I'm just, what's your thoughts on that?
I've never heard of anything questionable like that these days, but I also wouldn't use a brand that I hadn't investigated thoroughly.
Okay.
And are they licensed, these different brands of inks? Or, you know,
Yes,
somebody would look,
yes, no,
like
they-
a
they all come
health
from
department or somebody, Connecticut would look at them.
licensed distributors.
Right, thank you. That was the word I was trying to think of. Yes, good.
Help educate me here. When we talk about tattooing, and you've given us quite an education tonight, we also see on television, Kat Von D, you know, this other stuff, right? Are we also talking about piercing and bumps or strictly tattoo?
Strictly tattooing. I have no interest in piercing. It's not something I ever learned how to do. It's not something I was ever really fond of. Even the studio, I'm friends with everybody around here. Studios that offer piercings have actually taken a little bit of a hit since it's become available at the mall. Everybody goes to the mall for piercings. Again, it's not something that ever interested me. I would like to just be a tattoo gallery.
Okay, and that includes, you see people with bumps that get injected and
No, that's like scarification, body modification, things along those lines. You see that a lot. That's like a West Coast thing. I've never really seen that out here
Oh,
much.
yeah. You don't go to New York City often then?
I've worked plenty of conventions in the city, and it's at the conventions where out of towners, I've seen them with, you know, weird implants under their skin or, you know, yeah.
Bumps on the forehead.
I met Lizard Man a couple of times at those shows, and yeah, there's some interesting characters out there, but again, that's not the world I live in.
So my next question could be inappropriate. So I'm gonna pose it and then Beth, you can tell me whether it's allowed or not. You mentioned you have a contingent lease. Where?
On a Grassy Plain, do you know where, Grassy Plain Vape and Smoke was? That's the
Yes.
building.
Thank you.
I believe it's 39 Grassy Plain.
Commission questions? Nope.
I thought you were heading somewhere else that's inappropriate. I'm happy that was the question.
Well, it could infringe on privacy, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to the ordinances in Danbury and all that, did they ever finally put in an ordinance for tattooing? I know when, 5 years ago, there was a lot of drama. They wanted to get rid of illegal tattooing. Where does it stand now in Danbury?
Again, I have a private studio. A lot of my friends, have studios that are open to the public. The only thing that I've heard of in recent years is as far as what they're trying to enforce or crack down on is having, stainless steel hand wash.
Hand wash sinks.
Slop sinks.
Okay.
If the artist has a private room, that room needs to have a sink.
Correct.
If, like where I'm opening, it would be more of an open studio gallery environment. If I have, say, 2-3 stations over here, I would need a sink for over here accessible to them. If I have a couple more stations over here, I would need another sink right there accessible to them. We could even go as so far as to include like an eye wash station if we really felt the need to, like you would see in like a classroom, like in a science room, something like that. But again, things are so safe nowadays, you know, it's like there's really not a need for that, but that's something that we'd be willing to do if it came down to it.
Is that being driven by the State Department of Public Health or the local Danbury Public Health?
I think it's just Danbury. I don't believe it's a statewide thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Are you gonna maintain your shop in Danbury or?
No, I'd like to close it, and I don't want to be another guy in Danbury. I'd like to be the guy.
Yeah, I know.
And how many is your you and your daughter, is your goal to have how many tattoo artists?
3 to start. I don't think it would be any more than 4.
Okay.
My last apprentice, his name is Joe Atherton. I apprenticed him in 2012. He owns a gallery in Canaan, Connecticut. His son is here. He would like to come work with me so he can be closer to his son. So we kind of, as far as my lineage goes, we have 3 generations of my tattoo lineage, me, Joey, and now my daughter. So we kind of have like the past, present, and future is like kind of what we got going on now. I would like to have guests. So I would like to have a 4th station open to have, you know, guests come and visit. Like I said, I have a lot of friends. There's a lot of great artists out there. And also part of my vision is to also have part of it be a gallery. A lot of great tattoo artists are also great artists outside of tattooing. If you follow them on social media, you'll find a lot of these guys are great sculptors, great painters, and people will end up buying their art based on what they come see them for a tattoo. They find out they're capable of so much more. They end up being invested in them as an artist as a whole and not just a tattooer. I would like to have this be a place where people could showcase their art as well as their tattoo skills. So I got big ideas.
Mr. Chairman, follow-up question, please.
Sure.
With respect, if you have guests come through, where's the liability for the license? If the guest doesn't have a license, obviously they're in trouble. You are also in trouble from the shop?
Oh, yeah.
You both?
Yeah, no, if they don't have an active license, then they don't have a guest.
Right. But then if somebody does come in, let's say they don't have one, for whatever reason, is now your shop in trouble with the Department of
Unless
Public
I've seen
Health?
it, it's seen that it's active, I won't get the opportunity to work.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for liability though.
Yeah, no.
Does the Department of Public Health hold you responsible if there's an unlicensed tattoo artist in your shop? They hold you responsible as well as the individual. That's what I'm asking.
I would definitely get in some trouble. I don't know how
Yeah.
much trouble they would specifically get into, but I would definitely.
Yeah, well, they're the ones who are unlicensed, so the statute
Yeah.
definitely hits
If I
them.
allowed it, I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so if I may, that section 20-266P prohibited acts. It actually says if you aid or abet practice by a person not lawfully licensed to practice tattooing within the state, or by a person whose license to practice has been suspended or revoked, you are subject to the prohibited act and disciplinary grounds.
Outstanding, thank you.
Do you have FDA requirements that are any more stringent or different? I thought I read something about needing a medical doctor or something that kind of oversees.
No, with everything.
It wasn't in-
we go
it's not in the
through,
state stuff,
every
it is.
state licensing. Before licensing, I was saying before, we would have to have a medical doctor come and approve the studio. So they weren't coming in to approve artists specifically, they were coming to approve the work environment. They wanted to make sure that everything was clean, for lack, just for lack of a better term, to see that we had autoclaves and things like that. It's just not really like that anymore.
Yeah, once the licensing procedure process became codified by a state statute, it changed the industry across the state.
With bloodborne pathogen training and CPR training, that really covered all the bases that we needed as far as the state.
So you ask someone who's coming in for a tattoo about whether they have any allergies or.
I have them read standard release form thoroughly, check off every box, you know what I mean? I just want to make sure that, you know, let's say the client may be on blood thinners. I need to know that off the jump. Any skin allergies, things like that. Years ago, I used to have to ask if, you know, if they had allergies to latex. Nowadays, we know not to use latex anymore, not just because of the allergies, but because when we use petroleum-based products, we use vitamin A and D while we're tattooing. A petroleum-based product will break down latex. So now we don't use latex at all. We stick to nitrile gloves. But again, this is all like trial and error stuff that we figured out over time with not a lot of help from doctors or physicians, but you know, we figured it out.
Scary.
Yeah. I'm the first to admit that. It's
You
been
haven't
scary.
had any problem with mold and ink?
No.
Because I'd read that can sometimes even be in ink that's supposed to be sterile. or whatever.
No, I've never seen anything like that. And I'm happy to say that I'm busy enough where nothing's occurring. But everything has expiration dates on it, so you can check for yourself to make sure everything's okay. And I don't know if you saw in what I was passing around before, but unlike the packages with the tattoo cartridges, there's indicators in the back where you can see for yourself that everything's been properly processed. There's expiration dates in the back, so you know when you have to stop using them.
Any other commission comments? I'm gonna open up to the public.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Legnar, do you have any questions?
If we tie this to an ordinance, is that okay with the applicant?
We would expect that if the health department needs an ordinance, so they have some regulations to inspect and to set a tone for any establishment, we don't have any problem with that. We would expect
Okay,
that.
that's all. That was my only concern is, it seems like Danbury's behind the times to try and catch up. We'd like to start off on the right foot here with an ordinance.
Is there any other commission questions or comments?
I think we have-
I'm gonna open it up to the public. Nothing? Is anyone, David, you want to make your announcement on Zoom there?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. For anyone that is unfamiliar with the process for public hearings, if you have public comment that you want to offer tonight, there's a row of buttons or icons in the bottom of the Google Meet browser. There's a button called Raise Hand. It should be the second from right. If you hit that button, it'll give a prompt for us to let us know you have comment. We'll take them in a queue in order of people that raise their hands. We'll give a few seconds here to see if anyone does so. I'm not seeing any raised hands at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. I have nothing for you really at this point. You have anything else, Beth?
I do, I will say, if you notice at the end of my report, that the hearing should be continued just to allow for the health department to finalize their comments.
Okay.
And so I would continue this to your next meeting.
Okay.
And just for the record, Beth was kind enough to give us a heads up on that. So we weren't expecting a decision tonight. We knew that you were still missing a component from the health department. So we were anticipating that.
Excellent. Well, this hearing will be continued.
Chill,
For our
I'm
next
trying, I'm
meeting?
looking it up now, I'm sorry.
It's,
March, not,
March,
April,
April 9th.
wait.
No,
Sure, it's not March
no, it's
26th.
March
Okay,
26th.
Oh, it's
You
let's
guys,
do a minute.
you guys, it's March 26th.
March 27th,
Mhm.
thank you.
This hearing will be continued to our meeting at March 26th.
Same time, please?
Same time.
Yeah.
like-
People saying they're saying April, like, yeah.
7 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
It's a continued hearing. so
Thank
it'll be
you.
up for-
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we're moving to our business meetings. Everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
I've,
So you make a motion to
Thank you so much.
approve the minutes of 2/27/24?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Invoices. Looks like we have an invoice for $412.70 for News Times, I assume for public noticing.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve? Anyone?
Make a motion to approve the bill for the news tax of $412.70.
Second.
Oh, Bob, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
There you
Any, open up for any public input tonight?
go.
Come right up.
BJ Liberty, 8 Green Street. I have a question. It really should go to the ZBA, but I follow you guys. I don't follow the ZBA, so I'm asking you. Recently in the newspaper, it said that the ZBA approved a change for in front of, I think, English Apothecary for this front setback to go from 10 point something to 3 point something.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Can I answer the question for her?
Can I, that's a question for ZBA, not for planning and zoning. So I
Okay,
think
but
that
it is a
something
zoning ordinance that they,
that they have not
appealed.
reviewed with us.
well, just what,
And they
what
would
is the
review
front,
it with
Yeah.
you, Mr.
what is the
Chair.
front
So I
setback
don't
mean?
think this is the proper spot for that question.
We don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I don't.
Is that a question that you can ask Beth?
If
Well,
you
what's the
wanna,
front setback?
I think you're welcome to contact Beth either after the meeting or tomorrow. But that's not a question appropriate for this setting. Thank you, though. I did, skip ahead. I'm sorry, I missed our work session. I almost skipped your whole speech, Beth.
What would it be about?
I'm not sure.
Work session?
Did you have anything for us tonight, or were we going?
What I would do is I would suggest that you, table that for the moment and go to correspondence.
Okay.
Since we have the first selectman here and he's here to,
Excellent. That's what I
talk
was
about
excited to.
824 referral.
Thank you.
Also, I'm actually interested also in the open space. Under the end.
Okay. That's really messed me up.
Oh, sorry.
All right, then let's follow it in order.
Okay.
Under correspondence?
Yep.
Or under work session, excuse me, I'm sorry. All right, the next item on the agenda was a verbal request from the developers located at the farms, which is 36 Stony Hill Road. 36 Stony Hill Road
Oh,
is the
okay.
development that's across the street from Armando's Restaurant.
Right.
If you recall, it's, has apartments in the back. And it has a medical building in the front. Medical building is approximately 22,000 square feet.
Right.
I received a request. This is all, I'm gonna use the top cover of this just to, because when I go into it a little bit more, it gets a little bit more confusing. It's all one lot, over 100 units in the back and one building in the front, fronting on Route 6. The building in the front is, it's a property lease. It's leased to the same owners of Maplewoods. It's a firm out of Westport that does medical buildings, medical office spaces, things of that nature. The owner of this particular development is Mr. Zuckerman from New Jersey. And his question to the commission, and I did run this by the chair, but I thought it was important for all of you to consider this and decide if this is something that you would entertain. He proposes to eliminate the 22,000 square foot building in the front, replace it with two buildings, commercial on the first floor with residential above, 2 floors of residential above, restricted to 55 and older with an affordable housing component of 20%.
Is there an approximation of how many units he's thinking?
No.
Is that in compliance with the height restriction out there?
It is in compliance with the height restriction. It would not be in compliance with the zoning regulations at this time. In the discussions that I had with him, his request was to do something similar to which was down the road, which is 48 Stony Hill Road. So when you look at the regulations, that regulation is no longer existing. But when you look at the regulations that we have, it says commercial in the front with, you can do some residential on the top, residential on the back, but now there's an affordable component to that. And when I said that was the only possible way that he could do it, he did not want to entertain having put any affordable units in the, to the rear of the property. Remember, this was adopted, this site plan was approved before you all adopted regulations pertaining to affordable housing on Route 6.
Mhm.
So I maintain that if he wanted to do anything in the front pertaining to commercial with residential, that the whole property falls under our affordable regulation.
Unless it was divine, unless you could subdivide it.
Unless you get subdivide it and get 5 acres in the front. Because that's the minimum requirement is 5 acres in order to do a residential component
How many,
on its own.
how many square feet are the two total buildings?
We didn't even get that far really. The two, you know,
So RMS,
and you have
I
to
just-
understand that the present leasing, the person that has leased this property is still actively looking for a tenant for the office building. It's two separate entities.
right, doesn't RMS own the front building?
No,
Oh, not
this
anymore?
is owned, I can't think of their names. I call them Maple Woods, but I can't think of the name.
Oh, I'm sorry, no,
Escobar,
RMS was the other house. I know what you mean, all right, I have it now.
They did Maple Woods, they did two buildings down in Route 25 in Newtown.
Right,
One is, they're both medical buildings
Mhm,
there. That is
right.
their specialty. I've had several conversations with them too. But again, Mr. Zuckerman asked me to approach you on this, and so I'm giving it to you for your opinion.
I think my opinion would be if you want to do that and it's all one property, it would have to be affordable. That would be part of it to stay within the regulations. If they could somehow figure out how to do that 5 acres you just said, then that would be a different story.
I understand. I don't think that's feasible because that was my first comment to them. Do a subdivision, do, you know, a subdivision with a minimum of 5 acres, and that entitles you to some residential on that parcel.
I'm assuming this is because he's having trouble finding a tenant.
I don't think the rear property is having trouble
No,
finding the car. I think he's concerned about the front being vacant.
Mhm. Does he have 5 acres to do it?
No.
With the medical building, how many offices will still be in there? Medical building versus new building.
It's a new construction medical building.
Right.
22,000 square feet of first and second floor.
So now it'll just be medical first floor.
No, it won't be.
Oh, it could be any sort of
Or any
commercial. It could be
No longer
medical.
medical, I guess.
Well, it could be, right? It's a commercial use.
It could be.
No reason why it couldn't be.
No,
Dentist
it can,
office
it
or
can
something.
stay exactly as it is approved by the board.
Exactly.
Or you can look at other alternatives if you feel other alternatives should be looked at this time. If you see that there is a need.
Is there, he obviously has a reason why he asked for 2 separate buildings. Does he have a sketch or anything he can share with how he's thinking?
It's two blocks. You know, it's just putting 2 blocks on, it's when you're doing your,
I know, I just don't see how that makes it more efficient for him. That's why I'm asking what he's trying to get out of it.
residential units.
No, okay,
But why can't you just put residential units over that?
the way it is.
The way it is, the size, over the 22,000 square feet.
I don't know if he's gonna have the parking requirement, if that was.
Well,
based
first
on-
of
That's
all-
probably what.
First of all, he's not gonna have the parking requirements. And secondly, a lot of the mechanicals, he's putting the mechanicals on the roof,
Right,
okay? So you're not gonna put a 3rd floor of
That's fine.
residential. I'm just using that as a,
No, yeah, that's true.
it could be a 22,000 square foot building.
My opinion, we leave it how it's approved. I think changing it would be missing out on a golden opportunity. New Vance just announced last week, 2 weeks ago, this huge merger that could be bringing more stuff to this area. I mean, why would we turn more commercial away up in Route, especially in Route 6? That's just my opinion.
I'm in agreement with Paul there on that.
Same here.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That is true.
I mean, nothing's gonna happen overnight, but they could be looking for space in the next few months, and
It could be.
they have a blank
Within the next year.
building sitting there, ready to go.
Well, Jen, I will tell you, just to make you feel a little bit more confident about your decision, the representatives from Maplewood or whoever they call, we speak at least once every 6 months. What's going on? Can we change it? You know, tweaking, lighting, things of that nature. So I know that they are actively
Looking, still.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a very real possibility.
Does, anyone else have any comments or
With one of their members passing away there.
questions about that?
It took them a time to rework this.
When was that approved?
You're still 70.
A while ago. Oh, yeah.
That elevator tower is up for 20
Plans
years.
had 2017 written on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least. 15, 16.
And they had several extensions
That was
in
a
regards
change.
to that.
That was a change.
Yeah.
It was before that, yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
what's next?
We
Public input, we already got that.
did that. I did it. all.
Okay, I printed up the 824. First selectman.
Carter, you have the
This
floor.
memo.
I was too busy writing down future tax relief for medical buildings.
They don't get the tax abatement.
Yeah.
We have to have a tax abatement. We have that because it's pure commercial. So it's 22,000 square feet of tax abatement, and I reminded them of that when I talked to them, so. Because they have, one of the CEOs passed away unexpectedly, and so they have to reorganize.
They missed that.
Okay, so, obviously some of you may have heard the Wells Fargo branch in town is closing May 15th. So with that, one of the first things I did, and I started finding out from Wells Fargo what they were gonna do on the property. It is going to be up for sale. Right now, the listing has it at $1.4 million. The question I want to put before the board, because we've talked about this, and I have a real interest in purchasing the property. And why I feel that way is a fewfold. It's not just parking, because we've talked about parking. Parking is an issue, no matter how you slice it. That would be an expensive thing just to pay for parking though, right? We've talked about this before. We can take a lot of money and we can put it towards parking in a few other places. But the one thing we don't have in Bethel, we're getting any more of is land. And it is the only property that is contiguous with other pieces of town-owned land, specifically the library, across the street, the municipal center. Looking out a number of years, we don't know what we're gonna need. We know we need some parking now. We know that the first selectman, of course, in the planning and conservation development, they're saying, look for green space downtown, look at purchasing property for that. I don't know that that's the ideal green space, maybe pieces and parts of it, if we were to do something. The building itself could be something the town holds on to, at least just for a period of time. We've talked about, opportunities for seniors. There's just things you could come up with using the property for. Now, the other part of that is, we know there'd be a cost offset, right? Or we'd lose money on taxes, about 25,000 a year, which we'd have to figure out, like, leasing, we would certainly make all that up by any means. There's also the opportunity for the town to have control over that. With respect to development, if the town had it, we could kind of decide what it is we want to put on it, keep the property for ourselves, do something with the front end. So that's kind of where we've landed, that there may be a real opportunity. Now, on the other side too, there's an opportunity to, let it do its course and have a developer take it, try to work with the town. Hopefully we can find somebody to work with the town. I've had conversations with staff a little bit about that, and there's a feeling that we could work with the developer if we found the right one. Of course, it's a separate entity selling it, but there may be opportunities there, and maybe we use that money to put parking on the side of this building. There's been talk about putting parking on the west side of the building. If you look at the front, it's on the left side. We have that front ramp already built. Talked about possibly moving back, School Street about 11 feet, doing diagonal parking. And if you're looking at the building on the right side, possibly putting a road to help siphon parking off from, the folks over there near La Zingara. So we have some other ideas and options as well. So I guess what we're looking for from the Planning and Zoning Commission is kind of, what's your vision? What do you think the opportunities are? Where do you think we can go with it? Whether you think we should be looking at purchasing it, because again, long term, we don't get any more land back that's close to our own buildings. We know there's an opportunity to put some commercial down there, right? Maybe even do it if we lease it on the front. or work with a developer, preserve some of the parking or something like that. So those are our options. I kind of wanted to throw it to the board. That's why I moved so quickly. One last thing, time frame. We know developers are already looking at it. We believe it's listed already. We know we're not getting a walkthrough until May 15th or after. That's when they're going to be closing the building. So it does happen quickly. If we were to do it as a town, the reason I wanted to move kind of quickly getting ideas is that once we put this out here, it's 35 days for you all to kind of come together and make a report, so you have time. But we would likely want to get this on the April 23rd referendum. If we were going to do it, it does require that it be voted on. That would put us in a position with money in hand into April, or excuse me, May. So that's it.
Question. First, I would be in favor of the town purchasing it because I don't think they don't make any more land. So I think that's a very valid point. And the contiguous nature, I agree with all those points. Has there ever been a situation where the town, now I know we have, the breweries in the old train station and, there's other buildings that are leased out. Has there ever been a situation where the town owns a piece of property and you do a land lease to a developer who maybe comes in, down the line, maybe the building is demolished and that way the town at least has a little bit of say in if there is a commercial development there above and beyond what the structure is now. Is that a possibility? Is that something like it would be a for-profit? I know that the brewery is for-profit, but I don't know if there's ever been a land lease situation like that.
Well, I think actually your staff is the best suited to answer that question. I've been approached many times about doing that with the old police station, for instance.
Okay.
Developer wants to come in, we do some sort of deal, we, land lease it to them. Someone wanted to buy it for a little bit of money and then try to give it back, or something like that. But that's probably something that staff could probably speak to more if she's ever seen it happen in Bethel that way.
Well, the only leases I've seen is in regards to the YMCA. That's a structure that's leased to the YMCA. As far as land leases by a private entity, I don't recall.
Well,
so basically having a private entity come in, demolish it, build something new down the line.
There is a precedent. I mean, I was personally involved with putting up the Bethel track building. That was a land lease of town property, but it was gifted back afterwards.
Yes,
that is true.
Back, yeah.
That a very unique situation. And
that was very unique.
Yeah, but you're right. That was definitely a lease. The only, with respect to what we do now, we do lease out the YMCA, 153 Crescent Lane. We also lease out Broken Symmetry, right, which is the old train station.
But that's a profit-making entity for us.
Right.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. And it's funny. I actually asked the comptroller a while back to take a look at the YMCA building. I mean, it's not a bad deal for us. The situation is, I think we're holding on to that building to see if there's a future use. We want something for it. I think there's a feeling if they came to us now and said we wanted to buy it, there may be an interest, right? But the other thing is, do we want to hold on to that building for something? Do we need a future place to expand for town offices or things like that? That's probably the mindset. I don't have that from back when they did it. So at best, we're probably breaking even on it and looking at what their rent is. And we maintain the facility like a landlord. They do a lot of the stuff inside. We're pretty much doing the outside in the structure of the building. So like if we need a roof on it, that'd be on us, right?
Of course.
Drainage issues on the outside, that's on us, right? But it's been an okay relationship. So I'm personally not, I personally have a problem leasing out property with the town if it's good for us to hold on to for a period of time, if that works. And I'll say one of the other board of selectmen doesn't feel that way. Brian Percy specifically says, I don't want to be a landlord. So we don't know if that would be.
And that has been the continual feeling of the town overall, I would say, for the last 25 years. Whenever I've seen an opportunity with a piece of property that come up, if there's a structure on the property, the town doesn't want anything to do with it.
No.
They don't want it, and that's the thinking.
No, I don't know
Landlord.
how a municipality as a landlord acts, but if you did like some sort of triple net lease where it's all on that person leasing it. I think these are council questions. I totally understand, but in my opinion, I like the land lease option because you can control what is being put there because you can approve it as the landowner. And then maybe, we've been talking about in the parking situation throughout town, getting private businesses to let us use their, lots at night, and there's a whole liability or tax abatement thing that goes with that. with this, it's kind of baked in, hey, you can use this front portion, you know, we're using your lot at the end, we're the landlord. It's kind of already. I just think there's a lot of opportunities.
Well, and with respect to leasing, I have no issue with the town being a landlord in some of these instances. I don't think we want to go crazy with it. But there are other places that if we ever had the opportunity, you know, Stony Hill or something, it works. We can easily be a landlord in some situations. It's not our primary thing. I would say just,
What kind of rent do you think you would get in the bank?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't think it would cover the 25,000 a year. But
Close.
and the other thing I want to mention, the real parking, you know, the person who probably is most excited, the prospect, is the library. Because right now they get swamped at certain points. And they're very excited that Wells Fargo isn't enforcing the parking or anything right now, but the parking is an issue. But I will say, and I will say honestly, there are other options. I mean, if we're looking at just for parking, it's probably like a side thing that's good, because there aren't that many spaces for the money, right? If we take that same amount of money and we invest it in the parking over here on our side of the street, probably more parking. And by the way, someday we still may want to do that. Because the restaurants that are going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think spending the money strictly on saying we want parking is foolish.
I agree.
I agree.
I
If you
agree
look
too.
at how much money you're gonna spend per additional parking space, yes, you can add way more parking by doing the road, by doing something over here, doing the school street expansion. There's other options to quote unquote better spend the money. But if you're looking at it as you said, and you reiterated what Dan said, they don't make any more land, and we're have an opportunity to expand our town-owned footprint, add on to the library property, so to speak. I think these opportunities don't come very often. Probably will never come again, and I would support us.
So I would
I'm
encourage the
Okay,
commission to
can
think
I,
about it.
before you make any, Bob, it's on there, I got it.
Yeah.
Before you make any type of decisions, okay, I think it's important to relook at the, what the 824 is falling under, okay? I also think that it's important, you've heard me talk about this parking issue or parking mobility study, and we're cramming to get the draft parking study done for you within the next couple of days, so you can have that in hand when you review this again. I think that at the same time, when you look at the point of view of the town possibly purchasing this property, it's, and I, don't be offended by this,
I know we've talked about it.
but it is not the first selectman who's going to be making the decision as to the use of the property. If there's any uses associated with that property, it's going to be the Planning and Zoning Commission. Now, that's where the difference lies between a private
That's
developer
the big issue.
and the Planning and Zoning Commission versus the first selectman's wishes and the Planning and Zoning Commission. I mean, let's be very honest here. It's almost like the first selectman has a little bit more pull, or the Board of Selectmen. I'm sorry to say that, Board of Selectmen, and it's, I think it's difficult. It's more difficult for a Planning and Zoning Commission to go against the town's wishes versus a developer's wishes. So I just want you to keep that in your mind also. The second part of this is I also want you to think about the possibilities of who would be interested in purchasing that property and what they would want to do with it. Now that is something that is also very important. And you also have to have faith in your staff to a degree that to know that if anyone is talking to staff or will be talking to staff in the future, you know what we have to do as far as negotiating more parking. And no offense to the town of Bethel, but the library parking lot is very poorly planned out. There's improvements there that can increase parking there. There are improvements that can make things better. You've heard us talk about shared parking. Dan is willing to do shared parking. Am I speaking out of turn?
No, not at all. If we can,
I mean, you have to understand, you look across the street at Greenwood Avenue at Shreves, English Drug. English Drug, also where Dr. Mike's is. What is the first thing that happened when he purchased the Dr. Mike's property? All the no parking signs came down. Has anyone ever been asked to leave the English Drug parking lot? No. It's all about liability. He is not putting up no parking signs, but he can't put up public parking signs because of the liability associated with it. That's where shared parking comes in. We can do things, there's options there. But all I want you to do is to take your time, think about it. Because there's gonna be a lot of pushback, both ways. People are gonna be yelling. If we choose to purchase this property, we have to have an idea of what we want to do with this property. Because you're gonna get pushback on paying 20 grand parking space for 32 parking spaces. You're gonna get, I think it's a great idea because the town needs the property. But you have to defend, why does the town need the property? And that's what we have to come up with, the defense. Okay?
Is there any grant money?
No.
State, federal, no?
Nope. The truth is we'd probably be doing a bond for it. And then deciding on what we want to do with it there, probably bonding it. I'm guessing, but that's not decided.
Bob wants to speak.
Mr. Legler,
Bob,
can you hear us?
Bob, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's up to you.
Do you have any comments?
I would be, in this instance, I would be opposed to, purchasing this property, if it comes up for sale. And it apparently has come up for sale. I think just the mere idea that there's a parking problem downtown doesn't make it so. And to purchase this just for the sake of parking is not a good plan as far as I'm concerned. This property has been earmarked or pointed out as a similar piece of property would continue the pathway between Greenwood Avenue and School Street. And I think that part of the TOD plan was an intricate part of the TOD plan. And part of the TOD plan was not to start purchasing property and tearing houses down and not start purchasing property to keep it out of the hand of developers, but to get developers to come in and invest in the town. And I think this would be an investment in the town if a developer bought this property and developed it. Using it for parking is not going to solve any parking problems that it may develop downtown. That small a piece of property. And, we're trying to get developers to come in and invest in our town. And I think that's what we need to do. Take that off the tax rolls is a big impact also. The minute you buy it, you take it off the tax rolls. That's what we did with the YMCA building. It's been off the tax roll for near 30 years. The Andrews Center was left on the tax rolls and has been, a tax generator for approximately the same 30 years. That's all I have to say. But I would be opposed to purchasing this property or recommending to the selectmen, the Board of Selectmen, to put it on any kind of a referendum to purchase it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Legner. Any other commission members?
I would be in favor of purchasing the property, but with the knowledge that something was going to happen to the front.
Yeah.
Whether it would give us more control, I think, of what developer would be coming in, because then they'd have to come here to this commission to tell us what to do, or perhaps for future use. I mean, I'm thinking of a teen center, of senior center, which we do need more space. But I think to purchase it, and then with the idea of what are we going to do then?
Well, we've talked all kinds of options. I mean, and
There's a lot of options.
as you guys deliberate and think about it.
I think we have. I think that's going to be
Think
important for
about
us to
that,
do.
because that's, we're looking for a report of what your thoughts are,
Mhm.
right? We've talked about makerspace, like, moving the stuff from the library over there, makerspace, we've got all kinds of opportunity.
Yeah.
If we want to do it or lease it out or
lease it out.
but I'll just say the one
lease it
thing
out
we,
for commercial
the one
use.
thing, lease it out, to a restaurant but the one thing, we don't have anywhere, like, as we grow as a town, we don't have any of the property to move to. Like,
That's the
really
big part.
don't.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge in a way, and it's challenged other places. Like, if we want a bigger garage for Park and Rec someday, wherever we put it, or like just different things that come up that we don't have where to go. And to Bob's point, that having the building on Grassy Plain off the tax rolls That's significant. We could have used that, but I think back in the day, I had to go back and look what the idea was. I'm sure they held it for the possibility of a town function because it's downtown and they're close to. But then, listen, just think about it as you move along, because the development may be the best thing and doing the parking on our side. But there is a parking issue, and there is a parking issue, and shared parking won't overcome all of it. I do believe we'll have to add somewhere. I mean, we're looking down the road. Right now, some nights there are parking problems, some nights there aren't. We haven't utilized shared parking to the point. My opinion is we really shouldn't be geared towards like reducing all the park. Like if you look at planning and development, we reduced parking in town on purpose because the idea we're gonna have more people here commuting. Those patterns may come back, but everything's changed now post-pandemic. And you guys are now the ones making the decisions. So I do think we'll need some municipal center someday. This thing is not all about parking though.
But it does have the appearance of being all about parking,
It's
and
not.
just
It's
listening
trying-
to you
yeah.
speak now,
Yeah.
you are speaking all about parking.
Well, I'm saying we're gonna need more.
You're making statements that we need data in order to, factual information that will help them
Right.
understand the perception.
Listen, I understand.
You and I both disagree
I
on
know
this,
this,
and we'll
okay.
just leave it at that.
But we need the mobility study so they can see it. And I'm saying we've talked about this openly.
Yes,
The mobility study relies very much on shared parking.
yes,
very
it
much.
does.
And that's in the planning, conservation development plan as well. And I'm a big fan of trying to do that.
Mhm.
I don't know that we can get as much out of shared parking that's going to carry us into the next 10, 20 years. We're going to need more parking. But
I
that's
agree
not
with
the
you on
only
that.
Part about this.
Absolutely.
Right? This is right out of planning and conservation development where they said the selectmen should be looking for more stuff downtown, more green space, green space downtown. Maybe we can do something with this that has green space. Maybe we work with a developer to do green space. But this is the only chance we have. Like we should have bought that property next door to this building.
We
They
should
put
have,
the-
yes.
We should have.
Yeah.
And we just missed the opportunity. I don't want to miss another opportunity. But I also don't want to be, we talked about this, I don't want to be hysterical. I'm not.
You don't want to be
I'm
hysterical.
not being hysterical. I'm trying to look long-term vision of the town. And I just think there's a real, we have to have this discussion because the opportunity is coming quickly. And it's not just me doing it. This is a team
No.
effort. I'm advocating. But at the end of the day, if it's not where we all decide, that's not where we go.
So you
Yeah,
have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I like the proposal of the land lease for the following reasons. I'm sure that given the speed in which this is moving, that we don't have an environmental phase one. We don't know if there's asbestos. We don't know if there's lead, which isn't always in the paint. It can be in the caulking. And we don't know if there's mold of any kind. In addition to that, we don't know what's left of the infrastructure of that building and the HVAC system. And I have to tell you from personal experience that removing I presume they have a vault there.
They do.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
You'd be surprised what happens when you go down that road, so.
Maybe you don't remove them all. I don't know.
Yeah. Just removing the door.
Yeah.
You're talking $20,000.
Sure.
Okay. So to me, the decision to buy needs a little bit of research to understand what is it that we're buying.
Well, we haven't been able to do a walkthrough yet.
Well, yeah, but in addition to the walkthrough, is the HVAC system in its last leg? Do we have 3 years or do we have
Yeah.
8 years?
Part of what drives us, unfortunately, is the process, right? We have to have a referendum on this because it's over $1 million. And so it's a weird kind of situation we've talked about with the comptroller that if we have any inclination we want to do it, we have to do a referendum with an amount above what we think we would offer for it. And then we have to go through the whole process like anybody else. And Board of Finance would have to decide, Board of Second, Board of Finance, whether or not we're actually going to buy it. But we have to have cash in hand. And that's the issue. It takes all that time. But to your point, and to Beth's point, we want to make sure we're looking at this as a team. And we're looking at all options, right? I just say that's why, that's kind of position where, because you got to have cash in hand. Got to have a referendum, because otherwise you're just going to sell it, right? We already have folks interested that express interest to the company as well.
So if it's lined up, you really need to line it up for a referendum.
Yeah, but
Whether our
you have
answer
to
is
line
yes
up.
or no, you gotta line it up.
Yeah, if you
And we
think
can
it's
still say no later.
right, if you think it's yes, or the possibility of this, we got to line it up. And then when it comes to,
If it's anything but no.
once we do the
Really, you have to
walkthrough, we
line
see
it
what we're up against. Yeah, we might be like everybody else and say, yeah, no. And that's a tricky spot we're in. But otherwise, that's why it's hard to sit down to buy property.
So do you suspect that
Yeah.
you're saying the walkthrough is on the 15th?
Or
Everyone's
after,
gonna-
he didn't give me a ton, but he
But
said
everyone's gonna get that same thing. There's
Yeah.
probably some builders who are interested in, and they don't really care about walking through it.
probably
Right?
not.
They might make an offer tomorrow. If
Yeah.
it's listed, they might buy it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? They,
Could be.
because
I know
they're
there's
not
been
gonna
a
buy
lot
it
of
for that.
interest.
They're
I
not
don't
gonna
know.
buy it for the bank building. They're gonna buy
No.
it to do something bigger.
Although I think when I was talking with Beth, one of the things that she was talking about the plan, maybe it would keep the bank building.
Mhm.
Maybe a developer would keep the front of it because of what it looks like. And I'm sure that's probably up to you guys as well. Because it's kind of a historic building downtown and maybe add on somewhere else to it or something. But that's all. Those are options you'll have to just really think about as a group over the next month. You know,
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
Dan, do you have, different departments that have expressed need that we can think about?
not any department specifically. We've had some thoughts with some of the senior programs. The library was interested because they have all kinds of programs that they could put in that, like as an outpost. We talked about it. I don't know, maybe long-term leasing it to somebody may be better. Just so we're, because again, like Bob Legnard said, we're taking off the tax roll about 25 grand a year. We'd make some of that back up in a lease, which would be nice. And we would hold on to that. We could do things around the property that we want, you know, and to Beth's point, yeah, we could do things with the library parking lot and all that. But then again, a developer may be able to do that for us too. Right? And then maybe they do something else with it. Just, you know, give thought to what your recommendation is overall to that. But senior center maybe has some interest, but I don't think there's space for them. Library has expressed some interest in programming.
Just because you buy it now doesn't mean you have to keep it forever.
No, we don't have to keep it forever. We have options. No, I don't know. You know, it was like we talked about something like that. We talked about Board of Ed. You know, possibility with the Board of Ed want to make that their building and then free up the top of this building. But I don't know that Park and Rec would really fit for them. And it's also downtown. I mean, you want to take it out to downtown, which again, there's an opportunity to have commercial of something there. You know,
The parking lot has so much going on in this
Yeah.
building that I don't think they want to move it.
it's just tricky because we're growing out of space and I don't know where we put us down the line, but one day.
Beth, do you need a consensus from the board tonight, or do you want to?
I don't,
Continue
I'm just
to-
presenting it.
I think what you should do is you should think about it and think of verbiage as to answering the A24 sheet, the A24. And my, like I said to you before, I think if you're gonna give if the tendency is to give a negative report, I think that's simpler for me to write than to write a positive report, because the positive report should give some indication outside of parking, what else should be going on with this, other reasons to purchase this property that would benefit the town of Bethel overall.
So I'm gonna ask the board.
You can speak to me individually.
Yep, I'm gonna ask the
For
board
more
to do some
information.
homework and think
Oh,
about this before the next meeting. And email and correspond with Beth. Please do not email all of us.
No,
Right.
It needs to
Never
just be
do
between
that.
you and Beth.
for any reason.
And then Beth, you can get your finger on the pulse of which way we're all leaning.
Like, yes, I just want to give, have you make a good decision.
Mhm.
It's a recommendation on a positive report. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to harp on this, but there are portions of this that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you as a commission should look into that.
Right.
And I would strongly urge you to say, you feel the same way. And I think the first selectman is getting that impression.
Yeah.
That overall, you do not want to look at this piece of property as buying a parking lot for the town of Bethel.
Yeah.
No, definitely
No.
not. Definitely not.
No, because it is crazy money for parking. That's not.
So again, I'm
It's ridiculous.
gonna ask all the commissioners here and Bob too, just think about it. Think about what you would envision there, what you would see in the future if you were to move forward buying it, or if you're just completely opposed to it. And then that way, when we meet on the 26th, we can revisit this and have a consensus then.
And give a final recommendation.
And give a
to the Board of
recommendation,
Selectmen.
give a
Yes.
recommendation one way or the other to the board of selectmen.
That's good.
All right, all right, so, That closes that.
You're gonna table it?
Yeah, we're gonna table it, we're gonna
till your
table it
next
until the,
meeting, please?
until the 26th.
Doesn't make motions.
Yes, please.
Have a motion to table this?
Yep, I'll make a motion to table the 824 referral of 159 Greenwood Ave for the town to purchase it, and revisit this at our next meeting.
I'll second that.
Second.
In favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Excellent.
That's all she wrote.
That's it. We're gonna move into executive session.
No.
Yes.
Close another one.
So, yeah, we close the public hearing for that?
Public hearing.
Or, the meeting, I should say.
Yes, David, we're gonna, okay, so you're gonna remember the procedure is you make a
Can I go-
motion to go to executive session. You read your agenda item.
Yep.
And you
Oh, you're right.
also invite staff and Amanda.
I'm a member, so.
Are you gonna stay?
Yeah, I'm gonna hang, I want to hear that.
Okay,
Is that one we've talked about?
yes,
Yeah, I just want to hear kind of.
okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion to, I'm sorry. go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Read it from the agenda.
You were tuned up. Go ahead. No, you were ready.
Go
And
ahead, David.
David too, invite David in.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session. It's anticipated to discuss the purchase appraisal of a property for preservation as open space. I'd like to invite Amanda, the first selectman, David, and Beth Wagner to join the commission.
Okay, this is the last item on the agenda, so, at this time, we
I'll second.
We will only be convening to adjourn the meeting. If you wish to come back in, go in the waiting room. Thank you.
All in favor?
There's a motion on the floor. Has it been seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
Diane seconded. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so are we okay, so, shall I stop the recording?
Yes, please. And
Okay.
then there's a person online,
Yep,
that
I
is
will remove them.
member of the commission. That's why I did the,
Negotiation with the
in the
landlord
above
in
matter.
the above matter. No votes were taken during executive session. Rule, did you want to make a motion down there?
I make a motion that we cancel our contract to have the property in question appraised.
I'll second that.
David?
All in favor?
Could I just say one thing for you?
Sure.
We don't have a contract. I never signed any documents associated with it.
All right, so then
Just
send
cancel
a
the appraisal.
notice of
Of cancellation.
cancellation.
And I'll take a roll call vote on this one.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to commission comments. Anything from anyone? A public hearing schedule, you have the Flint Draper 830 G affordable on the 9th of April. And at this point, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Thank you, David.
Well, we're supposed to go back on.
Good night, Bob.